Hello ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to our 5th C++ tutorial. Today we want to talk about variables, understand what variables are, and then use variables to create a basic calculator. First of all, what is a variable? A variable is a name given to a memory location where data can be stored in a computer program. In other words, a variable is simply a container for storing information within a program. So let me go ahead and create one variable for you to see. Anytime you are creating a variable, first of all, you need to tell us the type of variable or the type of information the variable can store. So this variable, I'm going to give it a type int. That means it is going to store integers. And I'll call this variable my var. Alright, so this is how a variable is created. You declare the data type and then you give the variable a name. Now, this my var variable that has been created, what is it going to do for us in this program? You have to understand that in C++, before any variable can be used, it needs to be declared first. And so over here, this is my declaration. If I don't declare the variable, I can never use it. And guess what? There is no C++ program without variables. And so you really have to pay attention to variables and understand it very well because you will need it badly. Alright, so this is how to create an int variable. Later you can assign a value to your variable, and assigning a value can be done in the program or can be received from the user. So let me assign a value myself. I can say my var is equal to 5. What I have done here is to assign a value to my var. Notice my var was declared over here, so over here I'm not supposed to give it the data type anymore because it is already created. So this is a memory location that has been reserved called my var, but there's no value in it, and now I have assigned a value to my var. Let me output my var for us to see. So I'll create a cout and then say my var. And so we are going to run my var and see what is stored in my var. Before that, let me save my program. I go to File and Save and give it a name, Basic Calculator. Let me give it underscore Basic Calculator.cpp. Remember, I did not leave any space between the basic and the calculator, but I gave it one name. So remember to save your program as just one name with no spaces. Alright, so save. Now that my program is saved, let me run it for us to see. I just come here and click on run. It's running, loading, and we have 5 over here. Let me CLS my screen, clear screen, and run it again. So after running, we are supposed to see 5. And so what is happening here is that we have a variable. The variable has been able to store information, and the variable is spitting out the information in this line of code over here. What if the information changes? So my var is given a new value. Let's give it value 80. Let me save and run again. Ctrl-Alt-N. Now we have 80. So you can see my var is having a new value that is 80. So variables, what do? All they do is to store data. Once they are declared, they can store data. They can store their data based on an input from the user or a value assigned in the program. Alright, so this my var is having a data type called int. We can also have another type of variable with a string data type. A variable with a string data type is not going to hold numbers like the int, but will hold text. So let me call this my name. Alright, so you have to keep in mind that any variable that you declare as an int can only store numbers. And so you can notice that over here, we didn't try storing a name or a text, we just gave it a number because it cannot store anything apart from integers. Now, we have created a new type of variable called string, and this data type here tells us that this variable can store string. And what is string? String refers to text. Alright, so this string that I have declared here, my name, let me come here and give it a value. So I can say my name is equal to Samuel. That's not my name, but I'm just using it here. Alright, so what is happening here is that the variable we created here is being given a value over here. Remember, the variable is a memory location or a container waiting for information to be stored in it. Let me come here and print out the value of my name. So let me come down here and write another C out and say my name. Alright, let's run this. I will save, come to my code, let me clear the screen and run this again. Ctrl-Alt-N, and we are going to see 80 Samuel. 80 Samuel. That means this variable is storing the value 80 and this variable is storing the value Samuel. Later we'll learn about how it printed both values on the same line without any space. Alright, sometimes the values can be collected from the user. So let me clear what I have here and receive the values from the user. To receive a value from the user, I'm going to tell the user to enter a number. So I'll write a C out and say enter a number. And I'll come here and write a C in to store that number in my var. Alright, so what is happening here is that I'm going to ask the user to enter a number. When the number is entered, I'm going to store the number here. Later, after I store the number, I'll tell the user that your number is, and my var. Watch this. This is an intelligent way of using variables. You declare your variable, you collect an input from the user, store the input in my var. So right now my var is holding that input. Then you print a message here and you tell the user your number is the variable. Now we don't know what the user is going to enter, and so all we are doing is to tell the user that your number is the variable, because whatever is stored in the variable is what will show over here. Let's try this and see. I'm going to save, Ctrl-S, come down here, let me clear my screen again and press Ctrl-Alt-N. Alright, this is going to run and it's going to ask the user to enter a number. I'm going to enter 130. Enter. So you can see that it is saying your number is 130. What happened here is that when the number was entered, the number was stored in this variable and then the number was printed over here. And so when variables are declared, you can use a variable to store information within the code or an information from the user. It can work in both ways. Alright, now that we understand what variables are, let me go ahead and build my basic calculator because we are going to use variables again. Alright, in this basic calculator program, we are going to ask the user to enter some numbers and we are going to perform a calculation to the numbers the user will enter. And so first of all, we are going to use a variable to store the user's name and 3 other variables to store 2 numbers and use a third variable to perform the calculation. Let's see how that will work. So I know I'll be using a variable which is a string variable, so I have to declare it. In declaring it, I'll call it string username and I'm going to declare 3 int variables. So I have int num1, int num2, int sum. These are the 3 variables I'm going to use to collect 2 numbers and use the sum variable to calculate them. Now, when 3 variables are being created and they all have the same data type, you can simply create them this way, like int num1, sum. You can create it this way and it works. Alright, so now that our variables are declared, we need to use the variables to collect some information. So what I'm going to do now is to tell the user to enter his name. So I'll use a cout and say enter your name. Alright, so this will receive the user's name And guess what? We need to store the user's name. How are we going to store the user's name? We are going to use a cin and store the name in username. So the name is stored. It's as simple as that. Now let's write another message and ask the user to enter some numbers. So we'll write another cout and say enter a number. We need to store the number the user will enter. We don't know which number the user is going to enter, but whatever the user enters, we are going to store in one of our int variables, because remember, int stands for integer and string is used for text. So we are going to write a cin and store it in num1. Alright, so the first number is stored successfully. Let's ask the user to enter another number. So it's going to be simple, cout enter another number. And guess what? We are going to store the new number in the second variable called num2. So we'll say that cin num2, and that's perfect. So this is a very simple program. We are collecting a name, storing it here, collecting a number, storing it here, collecting another number, storing it here. So now what do? Let's call the third variable called sum, and what we'll do is that we'll use sum to perform a calculation. We will say that sum is equal to num1 plus num2. I'm doing all this for you to understand how variables can be used. So my last line of code is going to be to print out a message to the user. This is how my message is going to be. I'll write a cout and say hello space, come out here and enter the username, space username, hello username. I can say num1 plus num2 is equal to sum. Alright, so this code is very simple. We are going to see out a message and say that hello, and we left space here because after the word hello there should be space before the name is printed. So we are going to see hello space the name. Actually, we should have some space here. If not, this number is going to be joined to the name. So let me come here and create some space here like this. Excellent. So we have cout hello username space. I think there should be comma after the username. So hello username comma space num1 space plus space num2 space equal to space sum. This is amazing. So if you can understand what we've written here, it is very interesting, and this is going to print out an entire message to the user. So let me go ahead and save this work and we'll see what it brings out. Save, and let's come here and CLS our screen and run Ctrl-Alt-N. So first it is asking for a name. What is your name? Let me write a name like Samuel. Enter a number. I can enter 5. Enter another number. I can enter 10. Watch this. Enter. Hello Samuel, 5 plus 10 equals 15. You see what happened? So the line of code we wrote here is what has printed this incredible message. Let me clear screen and run it again. Ctrl-Alt-N. This time I'm entering my name, Darlington. Enter a number. My first number is 10. Another number, 60. Hello Darlington, 10 plus 60 is equal to 70. Excellent. So this is a simple program we have built right here, and this program was made possible because of variables. And so you have to understand how variables are used and how variables work. This is how we define our variables and we use our variables. This is going to help you a lot, and so I want you to take time and build this same program, write this same code, test it, and see what you get out of it. By doing so, you are going to understand the basics of variables and how to build programs in C++. So thank you for joining me in this tutorial. If you like this video, click on the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you want more tutorials from me. As always, I want you to be the best C++ programmer, so join me in the next video and I'll see you there. Bye.